Hey everyone, I am absolutely thrilled you're here today. You know what? We're going to completely skip the usual agenda and just jump right into the emotional core of something we all deal with. We're looking at a motivation story today called The Lever of Perseverance. And this explainer is going to focus on a very specific, deeply frustrating human experience, getting utterly, helplessly stuck. Because we all have those moments where we feel like we're pushing against a solid brick wall, or in the case of our story today, a massive stone.
Seriously, think about it for a second. What do you do when a huge stone just blocks your path? Because it happens to all of us. You're walking along making great progress and suddenly, bam, a massive obstacle. You get that heavy, incredibly weary feeling in your chest. You start thinking about how unfair life is, how you definitely didn't ask for this problem, and how everything was going so perfectly until this exact moment. We've all been there. Okay, let's dive into this by meeting a young guy who knows that exact feeling all too well. His name's Ethan.
Section 1. The Illusion of Impossible. Facing the stones in our path.
So here we have a perfect snapshot of Ethan's internal conflict. His goal was crystal clear. He dreamed of becoming successful. He had the ambition, for sure. He wanted to get somewhere in life. But his reaction to adversity, that was his fatal flaw. Every single time he faced a challenge, he'd complain that life was unfair and he immediately wanted to quit. He wanted the success, but he expected this totally smooth, friction-free ride to get there. The psychological tension here is huge. You literally cannot achieve massive success if your default reaction to a hurdle is just throwing your hands in the air and playing the victim.
Recognizing this fatal flaw, Ethan's grandfather decides it's time to teach him a lesson. One morning, he takes Ethan out for a walk on a beautiful forest trail. It's a completely clear path, right up until they come across a massive, heavy stone sitting smack in the dead center of their way. Now, the grandfather doesn't offer a long, drawn-out lecture. He doesn't give Ethan a cheesy pep talk. He just points right at the obstacle and issues a super blunt, two-word instruction: move it.
So, Ethan steps up to the stone, and he pushes. He strains. He uses absolutely all of his physical strength, building into this frantic, exhausting energy. He's sweating, he's slipping around in the dirt, and the stone does not budge a single inch. Finally, he hits that breaking point of pure, unfiltered frustration that I think validates so many of our own struggles, and he just shouts, "It's impossible!" He has completely reached the absolute limit of his raw, unguided effort.
Which brings us to Section 2, finding your leverage, using what is available to you.
As Ethan stands there totally defeated and angry, his grandfather doesn't even scold him. Instead, he just smiles. In this moment of quiet clarity, he reaches over and hands Ethan a sturdy wooden pole that had just been lying right there near the trail, and he says, "You forgot to use what was available to you." And this brilliantly illustrates the blind spot we all develop when we're panicked. When we face a sudden obstacle, our tunnel vision locks onto the problem itself, right? And we become completely blind to the tools and resources resting literally right at our feet. Let's talk about leverage. In this story, it's literally a physical tool, a wooden pole used to amplify force. But more importantly, it represents the mental resourcefulness required to shift seemingly immovable obstacles. Ethan takes that pole, wedges it right under the stone, and by applying leverage, he slowly rolls it aside. The impossible becomes possible. So let me ask you, how often are you trying to force your way through your own problems with just raw, exhausting emotional effort? How often do you shout, "It's impossible," before even looking around for your wooden pole? Seeking leverage changes everything.
All right, Section 3, the mindset shift, the true nature of success. Once the path is finally clear, the grandfather drops this incredible piece of wisdom. He says, success isn't about having no obstacles. It's about learning how to overcome them. So the crucial point is that a clear, completely unobstructed path to your goals, it's an absolute myth. The obstacles aren't interrupting the journey. They are a fundamental part of the journey. Expecting a life without stones in the road is just a recipe for constant misery.
And the grandfather finishes his thought by giving Ethan the exact tools required to overcome these hurdles: patience, creativity, and determination. These form a completely actionable step-by-step framework. First off, you need the patience to actually stop and assess the stone instead of just instantly quitting. Second, you need the creativity to look around your environment, think outside the box, and find your leverage, your wooden pole. And third, you need the determination to wedge that pole in there and do the slow, steady work of rolling the problem out of the way. You absolutely need all three working together.
Moving on to Section 4, moving your own stones, the aftermath of perseverance.
Now, what's really interesting about this transition is the severe juxtaposition between who Ethan was and who he became. His old view saw problems strictly as roadblocks,
They were unfair stop signs, placed there just to ruin his life. His victim mindset kept him totally trapped. But his new view? Problems are opportunities to grow stronger. They are literally weight resistance for the mind. Every stone he encounters now is just another chance to practice patience, creativity, and determination. He's newly empowered, not because the stones magically disappeared, but because his relationship to them completely transformed.
And you know what? That transformation totally paid off. Years later, as our motivation story concludes, people looked at Ethan and admired his massive success. But the text reveals a hidden truth. They never saw the countless stones he had to learn to move along the way. Behind every highly visible, glittering success you see in the world, there's almost always a hidden, invisible history of sweat, frustration, and moved stones. People only see the cleared path. They rarely see the heavy lifting it actually took to clear it.
Which brings us to the core moral of our explainer today. Challenges are not meant to stop you. They are meant to make you stronger. Seriously, when you encounter that giant stone in your path today, tomorrow, or next week, I want you to remember Ethan. The universe isn't just picking on you, it's actually providing you with the exact resistance you need to build your resourcefulness and your strength. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. What leverage can you use to move the unseen stones in your own life today? What resources, what people, or maybe what new perspectives are sitting right at your feet, waiting for you to pick them up and use them? Don't just push blindly until you burn out. Find your lever, move the stone, and keep walking your path. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.